Hey everyone, just before this video kicks off, after I recorded it came to my attention that Evolve has a shitload of pre-order DLC and season passes and all that crap, and my finishing note on this video was that with more game modes and more options, I think the game would be a lot better, because currently I just feel like it's sort of skimpy on the game modes. However, if all these game modes are coming with season passes and future DLC you have to pay for, I want to take back all the sort of like positivity out of that statement. In my mind, when I said it, I was thinking in the future they could release a free game mode such as this, and then everything would be great. But no, it really does seem like they're going to be going down the routes of paid DLC, season passes, and adding more game modes and characters in through that way. And as a result, yeah, kind of bullshit. So at the end of this video, everything's still appropriate. I still enjoyed the game. However, just sort of think to yourself, if this is all going to be included in the future in like season passes and shit, I'm not sure if the game's worth it right now. Thank you very much, and on with the video. Hello and welcome to Oddest Plays. Today I'd just like to quickly talk about Evolve a little bit. For those who don't know, Evolve is a asymmetrical multiplayer shooter from 2K and Turtle Rock Studios. I don't know how I managed to memorize that sentence. In Evolve, you basically have several monsters to choose from and several types of hunters and classes, and the one monster is in an arena against 4 hunters, and it's the hunter's job to kill the monster. The monster's job is to evolve, become more powerful, and either kill all the hunters or destroy a power relay once the monster has achieved stage 3. Now, I've been playing a little bit of the game this weekend in the technical test. I got into the alpha a while ago, but I only managed to play 2 games, and I didn't really feel like I'd managed to get a decent judgment of it at all. But today I played some more games, and I played some the other day. Yeah, I've been playing it all weekend, and I quite enjoy it, although there are a few things I would like to say against it. But first off, I want to talk about being the monster. Unfortunately, I have no footage of being the monster. It's just the look of the draw when I was recording, I suppose. But I'd like to say a few good things about it. First off, it's super fun. It's super fun. You're a giant monster, you're running around, you're smacking people about. It's just enjoyable the whole way through when you are a monster. I love it personally. Sure, it can get annoying to get hunted down, trapped down, but there are ways around that, of course. Now, I gotta admit, it can feel fiddly, because you are this big lumbering beast, and you feel like a big lumbering beast when you move about. Not all your attacks will connect when you want them to, and then there's the cooldowns on your moves, which they all, I don't know how to explain it, but when you use a specific move, especially like the charge move as the Goliath, you basically run forward, and you're sort of stuck in that forward running animation. You don't get much mobility going side to side, which, you know, I guess you don't want the monster to be too powerful, but it feels like somewhat complicated controls and a sort of fiddly movement has sort of made the monster more difficult on purpose. Just because they needed it to be harder to control, they needed it to be harder to be the monster, so you couldn't be too good at it and be wiping everyone out. Or at least that's the way it feels to me. It feels like they've hampered it just because otherwise it'd be too easy. I don't know. I feel like there was other ways to balance that, although I could be totally wrong. One thing I'd like to say about the monster is that the stealth is awesome. I mean, like, you're a big monster, and basically all you do is crouch down a little bit and you walk more slowly, but there is advantages to this. First off, you don't leave tracks, and with tracks, the hunters can follow you pretty much everywhere. They might be following you slowly, but they'll definitely be following you. Another thing is there are several warnings in the arena, like a flock of birds. If you just charge past the birds as a monster, they will likely all fly away in fear. As stealth, they won't fly away. If they do fly away, the hunters get a pinpoint targeting. They know exactly where the birds flew from. They knew that you are there, so they know exactly where to head to next. And of course, with stealth, you're not going to leave the tracks. The birds aren't going to be sure. The hunters are pretty much unaware. I played a game the other day where I stealthed it pretty much through the whole level. The hunting team did manage to find me once. However, that did not hold me back. I battered them off. As soon as the arena went down, I ran away. I recovered, I went to stage 3 monster, I stealthed my way to the power relay, and by the time they'd caught up with me, it was basically destroyed, and I'd won the game. And it's quite satisfying being the monster, because I feel like it's that 1 man against 4 sort of thing, even though of course it's 1 overpowered man, but it's still like you've overcome the odds, so to speak. So yeah, stealth is really good. You get stealth hits as well, which is extra damage against enemies, and what you really need to do is you need to be hunting and killing monsters to feed. So there's plenty of monsters in the overworld, and the hunters will have to deal with these as well. But when you're the monster, you can quite easily kill a majority of them, and then you start eating them. And eating will level up your armor, your health, and also will let you evolve. And when you're fully evolved, as you can imagine, you get a much bigger health bar, and you get a much bigger armor bar, and you're generally harder to kill, and your moves are upgraded because you get skill points for that as well. You'll be wanting to hunt down these monsters and eat them without getting caught by the hunter team, which will be constantly on your trail, because like I said, you'll be leaving tracks. They have a dog named Daisy who will be constantly following you, and as long as you follow Daisy as the hunting team, you'll always eventually run into the monster. So you can't be too confident when you are the monster. Luckily, you get a smelling sort of system where you can just click in R3, and that's basically like a radius radar. And from that, you can see if the hunters are nearby to you or any nearby monsters that you can eat. When you evolve, it takes like a good 10 or so seconds to actually fully transform, which again, it gives the hunters a time to catch up if you haven't made that distance. So there's always this sort of intensity to it. You want to be making distance, and you don't want to get trapped. You want to be able to eat monsters and sort of evolve in your own time, but you've constantly got these hunters on your back, which really makes you manage your time. And you see monsters and you think, I could eat those, or I could continue to make distance. Again, I want to say smart play, which is again related to stealth, is very important. If you run through rivers, you don't leave tracks. So as I mentioned, the charge move, which is like an animation where you're stuck running forward in the river, that is awesome. You can just run upstream and then jump onto a mountainside and start climbing, and they will find that very difficult to find your tracks because there'll be a large distance between where you left them. Usually when you're in the water, you have to run more slowly, as you can imagine, but when you are charging, it doesn't slow down that animation. Charge through the water, jump up a cliff, start stealthing away. Brilliant, you've made distance. Now I feel like it's very rewarding, especially if you're not stealthing, you will make tracks and you'll make footprints. And they'll be able to hear that. When you're stealthing, that's not a problem. You can sneak up on enemies, you can sneak up on monsters. It's very good, although it feels very slow. And so that detracts you from wanting to use it, of course. Killing the hunters feels great. In a game the other day, this is going to sound silly, but I got to a power relay, and I didn't actually know how to destroy it. What you have to do is you just have to start mashing your melee button. And for some reason, it just wasn't working out for me. So I was just sort of stood near it, and eventually all the hunters caught up to me. And instead of, I don't know, I was just like, well, okay, they're here. It's either I kill them or the power relay. I don't know how to do the power relay. I'll kill them. And it was a fantastic, really quite long and drawn out battle with myself and the hunters when I was in stage 3, and they kept reviving each other and I kept beating them back down. It was a bit of a struggle, but when it was all said and done and I'd finished it and destroyed them, it felt super satisfying. I loved it. I love the feel of killing the hunters and sort of wiping them out. Yeah, it feels really good, and the range of moves helps that. You get like a fire breath, which can straight away, if they're getting a bit too close to you, fire breath will draw them back, and it'll do hefty damage. You can just leap at them and start attacking melee. It feels really great. You do have a stamina bar, so you can't be leaping about too often, but it is super useful, especially say leaping from a cliff to another mountain to minimise the amount of tracks you leave in between. I've noticed when playing online as a hunter, I notice monsters that don't do this. They'll stick to a path, they don't climb very much, they'll just keep walking forward, they rarely stealth, you've constantly got their footprints, you end up catching up with them. But catching up with them doesn't always mean you win, it just means you can do damage, of course. I was in a battle today, and I'll show footage of that now, where I caught up to a monster when it was in stage 1, and even though we arena'd him, and then he got out of the arena, he just kept fighting, and eventually we did die, and when we died, he wasn't letting our teammates get us back up and revive us. He was making stay over our bodies until we were down, and he was doing a very good job of it, absolutely destroyed me. And but eventually the thing is, two of us just respawned anyway. It took a while, it takes a long time, but then we finished him. So doing the whole combat things full on in like stage 1 with the small health bar he had, even though he did super well to actually finish us off, and he kept the fight going for a while, eventually it was just stacked against him and he wasn't going to win. So being the monster, it is mainly wanting to evolve, mainly wanting to get stronger, and it feels very good because there's, like I said, there's this constant presence, and unless you play smart, they'll definitely find you. Definitely. Onto the hunters, I'd like to say the classes are very good. The characters are all given that sort of Call of Duty Zombies personality. Like if you played Zombies in Black Ops 2, all the characters had this unique, weird personality and that sort of fucked up sense of humour that they have, and it was fine. You can also say that in Left 4 Dead they have a similar sort of thing, which of course this is by the makers of Left 4 Dead, which is why it's very similar. But yeah, I didn't find them that funny. It was weird, like the Makarov is like the heavy assault guy, and he just sounds like a heavy from Team Fortress 2. It's just as simple as that. It seems like a weird mix between Team Fortress 2 and Borderlands with a lot of them, and the character designs aren't the most original I've ever fucking seen, I'll tell you that. But that doesn't really matter in a shooter like this, though, really, does it? But yeah, classes make sense. You've got your heavy assault, which is all about taking down the enemy armor and health, of course. You've got the trapper, which is all about putting down traps like oh, I can't even fucking remember what they're called, but it'll connect a cable to the monster so he can't move quite as fast or as far. There is the arena, of course, which houses, which you gives around the radius of the area, and you want to get the monster inside that so you can trap him and force him into fighting so he can't run away. You've got your support class where you can put up a shield again around your opponent, around your friends, or you can bring in little mini airstrikes, which are fun, I guess. It's fine. And then there's the medic, which is mainly a medic. All your characters can just shoot bullets into the monster when the armor's down, of course, if you're doing quite well. And really using all the classes and all the abilities is really key to winning. Really important, because you all have a range of moves, and it's all about slowing that monster down. Like one guy has a tranquilizer dart, you want to trank him, then you want to run in and you want to get the arena up, and then you want to get down all the traps, you want to get down some explosive mines, you want to bring in an airstrike if the monster's not moving much, you want to maximize the amount of damage. And as the monster in those situations, you just want to keep swinging your arms and using all your abilities pretty much constantly. There is a nice leap smash move as the Goliath, and that is a brilliant move. You can just make distance and assault at the same time. I love Daisy when you're a hunter, because like I said, Daisy can constantly sniff out that monster. You can just follow Daisy and everything will work out. It works quite well. Hunting the monster can drag on though, because I can imagine, like, if you are stealthing a lot as the monster, the hunters won't come into contact with you. And therefore, if you are the hunters and the monster is stealthing a lot really well, then you're not going to find them. In my match earlier, when I achieved stage 3 and defeated this power relay, I had a short battle with the hunters in between all that. They did tend to split up a lot to find me, and that's not a good way to go. As the hunters, stick together, follow Daisy. That's really how it should go. And they were splitting up a lot, and even though they were able to find me, I don't think they had their trapper and they couldn't put the arena up. And by the time that we're actually having a battle, I was already destroying the power relay. And I can imagine that game for them was very boring indeed, because they just couldn't find me. And it was great because I would run in one really obvious area and I would use my sniffing ability. I'd see where they're coming from, then I'd start stealthing and literally double back on myself. And because of the smelling ability, I could see them running towards where I just stealthed from, and I literally just went right past them, basically. It was insane, because even as the monster, you have the ability to do that. And surely it's like, you shouldn't just be able to sneak past them, but you can. It's totally possible. And so for me, that game was great. I love sneaking around them, I love knowing that I'd dupe them, but for them, I imagine that was incredibly frustrating. And even when the monster isn't being that stealthy, there's a lot of running involved, just running forward, just running and chasing and jumping and running and running and running. There's a fucking lot of that. So as a hunter, I can imagine it getting very frustrating, to be honest. I'd like to say the guns and abilities, they all feel fine. There's nothing I'd like to like shout about. I mean, the support airstrikes were kind of cool, but in regards to the guns and stuff, Assault's got a nice big heavy electric weapon which brings down armor, but again, not that bothered about it. But mind you, I mentioned I died earlier in one match and the respawn time was very, very long. I will include that particular clip so you can see where I go down and how the monster's keeping people from reviving me and how very long the respawn time is, because that's pretty insane. Overall, I would like to say that it's a very good multiplayer shooter. I'm enjoying it. I don't play a lot of multiplayer shooters, and especially not for a very long time. But I could see myself getting a couple of weeks worth of decent fun out of Evolve. I'm not convinced that it will last past that though. There is a proper mode that's available in the full game. Of course, this was just the technical test, but in the full game there'll be an evacuation sort of pseudo campaign mode with like 5 stages, and I'm sure that will be fun and everything, but I can't imagine that lasting long. I feel like this game needs more game modes, otherwise it will get boring very fast. I can't see where else they're going to take this asymmetrical gameplay though, although I'd like to see more. Maybe they could introduce like different kinds of monsters that drastically change up the way you have to do things. Maybe ditch the power relay objectives, get different objectives in there for the monsters and the hunters. We'll see what they can do. But if they wanna keep this game going, they need a lot more game modes than what they got at the moment. Because at the moment I think it's fun, just skimping on the content. The core game, very good, but skimping on the content most definitely. And that was basically my ranty sort of first impressions of Evolve. Overall, very fun game, I'm enjoying it a lot, but I can't imagine it being like an essential title, and I can't really see it being played into 2016 at all. I don't see this lasting more than a year. I could be totally wrong. Much like Left 4 Dead 2 and Left 4 Dead 1 are still getting plenty of players, but I don't know. I can't see this surviving a long life. But there you go, my first impressions on Evolve. Thank you very much for listening. And let me know what you think. Do you think it looks interesting? Are you interested in getting Evolve? Do you think it looks a bit crap? I wouldn't entirely blame you. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Subscribe if you feel like it.